And these are your simple carbohydrates that, like honey and jelly, and chocolate and candy. Those are like sucrose. Those are like just like table sugar, more like the quick absorbing carbohydrates that have calories but don't have a lot of nutritional benefits. Some of them don't. But fruit and milk products, they have carbohydrates as well in them. Milk has that's also a good protein source, but it has about 10 grams of carbohydrate per serving, and fruit is a good carbohydrate source with about 15 grams. So those are your carbohydrates. Do you have any questions about carbohydrates so far? You all know that. Okay. And then we'll tie this all together at the end. Protein is necessary for growing and repairing muscle fibers. So protein is very important. Endurance and power athletes have higher protein needs. How much protein do you need? The recommended daily protein allowance for a healthy adult is 0.8 grams per kilogram. But the American College of Sports Medicine recommends that endurance athletes consume 1.2 to 1.7 grams per kilograms of protein a day. Okay? So again, if you're a 150-pound athlete, you divide that by 2.2, and that's how many grams, that's his kilograms. And then you would take your kilograms and body weight times 1.2 to 1.7, so that's 81 to 115 grams a day. And it should be about 15 to 20% of your calories should come from protein. And again, when you download this app, at the end of the day, it'll show you how many percentage of carbohydrate you had in the day, how much percentage of protein you had in the day, and how much percentage of fat. And so that'll just give you an idea of where you're at and what food you need to increase. So it's a really cool app, and you guys can like be friends on it and encourage each other, and maybe give some recipe ideas. This amount of protein, 81 to 115, can be obtained through diet alone. Additional protein or amino acid supplements do not provide additional benefit. So I'm going to show you how little of protein, how you can get this much protein in your diet. Okay, these are considered protein-rich foods. We've got meats, which include chicken, turkey, beef, pork. And for every 3 ounces, for every ounce it's 7 grams. So for 3 ounces it's 21 grams. What does a 3-ounce serving of meat look like? Does anyone know?
Not big.
Not big. But
palm of your hand.
The palm of your hand. Well done, my little grasshopper.
Like you're a kid or something.
You told me that yesterday.
Cheater.
The palm of your hand, or a deck of cards. So I know when you guys are going to Chipotle and you do double protein, right? You're getting like 42 grams of protein right there in that serving. So, a lot of people think, oh my gosh, I need to add protein supplements, I need to do this, I need to do that. You can get it from food. I know you guys like a big pork chop, and like if you're thinking about, like if you pack a sandwich, for lunch, and you have like 3 ounces of turkey, that's 21. Then your mom makes pork chops at night, that's 21. Then, you had some yogurt for a snack, that's plus 8. Then you had some cheese and eggs in the morning, that's plus 16. You had a handful of nuts, that's plus 6. So you see where I'm going with this? If you think about what you eat during a day, you get plenty of protein. You don't need supplements, you don't need amino acids. You just need to make sure that you're eating whole foods, that you're eating your protein. You're getting your dairy, which is huge. How many people feel like they get enough dairy in here? You guys like milk?
Oh yeah. I love milk.
Girls, you need to drink milk, okay? If you don't like milk, there's yogurt and cheese. Yes. A lentil is like a bean. It's like a bean, but it grows from a plant.
So those are different though than regular beans?
It's a little bit less starchy, but it's like they use it in the like India and stuff like that. You can find them in any store. I don't cook with them that often, but some people do. Indian food has a lot of lentils in it. It looks like a bean. It comes from a plant food, but they do have a lot of protein in it. But anyway, and you know, dairy is really important, you guys, because right now, between 14 and age 19 is your formative years for bone growth. So you got to make sure that you're getting at least 3 servings of dairy in your diet a day. So whether that be milk, cheese, yogurt, those are very important. Cottage cheese for bone growth, okay? Especially the honey badger over there, because he's always breaking his bones. What foods contain fat? We're just going to go over fat briefly. And fat is found in meats, fat is found in all sorts of different foods. Obviously, it's better if you choose food sources from the right side of the screen than from the left more often. And again, I know that your parents do the cooking, but canola oil and olive oil are good things to do. Does anyone, do you guys eat fish?
Love it.
Yeah, good. Good. Salmon is awesome. I mean, if you could do fish once a week, you got great omega-3 fatty acids, which is really good for inflammation too, and probably be good for recovery. So that would be a good thing. And then, you know, try to stay away from your butter and your bacon and all that kind of stuff, and cream cheese. Like a teaspoon usually is a serving, and a teaspoon is like your thumbnail, you know, so if you're looking at, you want to know how much fat you should have per serving, it's like thumbnails. But go ahead.
Bless you.
And obviously you want to build from the bottom up. This is a food guide pyramid, and what we talked about first was your carbs. You're going to have more of those than anything. And it is recommended by the American Heart Association that you try to do 3 whole grains a day out of all the carbs that you eat. So we're looking at brown breads, brown rice if you can. I know a lot of you are like, no, like you are just putting too much on me. But you guys aren't kids anymore. It's time to try this stuff. And a good way to do this is that when you're doing some of those brown breads and stuff like that, they offer more fiber, which is really good for your GI system. And they keep you fuller longer. So, you know, when you're trying to stay away from other foods, you know, that's good to do. Go half and half. Go half, you know, regular, half brown, put them together, and then work your way into liking all of it. I know when I love coffee, but I'm an adult, so I can drink coffee. And I was drinking it with sugar and cream, and I was getting tired because I could never find the sugar, I could never find the cream, and I was like, no, I'm just going to condition myself to like it black. Now, black coffee is bitter. I mean, that's bitter stuff. And it took me about 3 weeks for my body to, my taste buds to change over and like black coffee without the sugar and the cream. So your taste buds do change. You just need to take the effort to try new foods and to do it whether you like it or not. I know my son, Sammy, he's a struggle, you know, with eating the foods. He is. But before he leaves for school, I'm always like, Sam, eat your carrot sticks today because it's the right thing to do. You know, and now he knows that it's the right thing to do. And eventually, you know, hopefully he'll have the habits that he needs to stay healthy. But anyway, go ahead. And then the dietary guidelines for fat is 20 to 30% a day, which if you do these calculations, is, you know, this guy eats 61 grams a day. Go on. Okay. And then eat more fruits, vegetables. That was one of the biggest things that I saw in the food journals that I read was there wasn't a whole lot of fruits and vegetables. So again, you need to make sure that you ask your parents, tell your parents what kind of fruits and vegetables that you like, and be in a habit of doing 5 a day. 5 a day is the minimum requirement for fruits and vegetables, okay? So they are chock full of vitamins A, C, and fiber. They have health-promoting phytochemicals. They are nature's vitamin pills, and they reduce the risk of all sorts of diseases. So, and I was really I was, you know, loving the clip art, so. Okay. I'll keep it. Okay. Okay, this is very important. I'm gonna come over here. Now, once you guys find out how many calories you need for the day, you know, again, go, and if you guys don't have one of these packets, I will make more to give to you, okay? But if let's say your calorie level is 2,200, this gives you a cheat sheet of what you should have for the day. So make sure that you're planning, okay? I'm gonna have 2 fruits a day. Now, the honey badger, he loves bananas. I think he should be called the chimpanzee or something. I don't know. I love this creature knows everything is like, I had a banana. I had another banana. I ate 3 bananas today. So, bananas actually are 2 servings of fruit. So he could have had 1 and been done with his fruit for the day. But, you know, it's good that he eats bananas. They got good potassium. That's why he runs like he does. Vegetables, try to have 3 a day. A serving of vegetables is a half a cup cooked or a cup raw. So, you know, this is where you guys need to plan. You need to think about what kind of fruits am I going to pack in my lunch, am I going to eat a fruit for breakfast? What am I going to, you know, what kind of vegetables do I want my mom to have in the house? Do I like salads? Do I like, you know, what kind of vegetables do I want? Help your parents out. You guys are in charge of what's put in your body, and I promise you, your parents will go out and buy you healthy foods if you ask for it. But you guys have to ask for it. Grains. So this would be 7 servings of the bottom part of the pyramid. This is seven servings of the bottom part of the pyramid. So we're looking at your rice, your pasta, your bread. So you can count how many, you know, plan for your day in that way. 6 ounces of protein. Again, that's 3 ounces maybe of turkey in your sandwich, and then a pork chop at night. I mean, that's not a lot. You know, a lot of people, like I said, they think they need protein supplements, but you can get it if you just follow these guidelines. 3 cups of dairy, which is yogurt, milk, cheese, and then 6 servings of fat, which, you know, we're looking at probably foods already have fat in it, but if your mom and dad are using butter or oil and stuff like that, if you want to put cream cheese on your bagel, you know, butter on your rolls, that's what you do here. And then here's some extra calories for like fun foods. I mean, I'm not here to take away all your ho-hos and your Cocoa Puffs, but like, you know, if you get a bulk of this stuff in, you know, and you have some extra calories to spare, I mean, go ahead and enjoy something that you really love, you know, and that's okay. So, but the more you do this, the less you'll want of this. It's just training your taste buds. Okay. Now, timing is everything. When and how much do I eat? That's where we get into timing. So now we're going to go into pre-workout guidelines and during the workout guidelines and post-workout guidelines. And this was just kind of a cheat sheet. If you have 3 to 4 hours before the game, you choose a meal, have carbohydrates, protein, and a fat. And I'll go into some examples of that. 2 hours before a game, you probably want to do more of a mini meal or snack with just a carbohydrate and a protein. Go back. Okay. An hour before the game, you can do food, or you can just do Gatorade, but the food would be a carbohydrate and would be a very small amount. And then 5 to 10 minutes before the game, you could use a fluid or gel if you want, if that's something that you want to do, but we'll talk about why or when to do that. I know when we do our marathon, right before we run, people are always doing those gels. They do their quick 5 to 10 minutes before. That's not part of my training, how I like to eat, but that helps them. So it's different for everyone. You guys have to do the practice, and you guys have to figure out what works for you, okay? So, like I said before, 3 to 4 hours. You want to do a meal. My favorite meal as an athlete was a peanut butter and banana sandwich and a glass of milk. That was like my meal, and I got it down to a science where it was about 3 hours before my game, and that's what I ate. It didn't bother my stomach. I had a little bit of protein, a little bit of fat, had lots of carbohydrates, and the milk had some protein. You know, it kept me full, so that's what I did. But you can, you know, do whatever it is that works for you. Just make sure that your timing is on, okay? You don't want to eat you don't want to eat a bigger meal at 2 hours, or you don't want to do it 1 hour before. So keep in mind when your start time is, and you got to plan, okay? 1 hour, you can do fluids or no more than 30 grams of carbs. So that might look like a piece of toast or a half a bagel with jam or a small muffin. You could use a sports bar or yogurt. I just have some examples here. Keep these general guidelines in mind. The longer you have before working out, the more you can and often you can eat. And the closer you are to the start of the workout, the more important it is to choose carbohydrates. Now, this was a study that I thought was interesting. It showed that athletes who consume carbohydrate up to an hour before exercise improve their performance. Just because the extra dose of carbohydrate helps maintain blood sugar levels and tops off carbohydrate stores. So that might be something you want to experiment with, but again, we're going to experiment this during training, not right before the game. You're not going to say, oh, I'm just going to, try this. This is something you're going to, once you start training, your food trainings goes right along with it. What are you going to do? Practice, practice, practice. And sometimes you might fail, but sometimes you'll get it right eventually, and then you'll have your own food plan down. Always remember, everybody's body is different. What might work for you may not work for me. Practice different fueling methods during the training to determine what will work best for game day. Try to stick to your plan. In order to be successful at optimal fueling, you need to plan. If you don't plan, plan to fail. Okay? And then use a food logger at your food log to be able to go back and reference what worked and what didn't work. So your food log that you're going to use, you're going to be able to go back to and say, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. I have an interesting story. I had my long run on a Saturday. I was trained. I mean, I could run 10 miles. It was my 10-mile run, and I had my whole diet plan the night before. I was fueled up, and Anna made a turtle chocolate covered cheesecake. I mean, it had Heath bar topping on top. I mean, it was so beautiful. And then it had Rolos and whipped cream all over the side. And it was chilling in the fridge, and I was running in the morning, okay? And I have my plan, so I can get through these 10 miles. And she's like, you gotta try this, Mom, you gotta try it. So I was like, okay. I tried it, I was like, oh my gosh. And one led to another, and before I know it, I'm eating a piece and a half of this cheesecake, This is the night before. I'm like, I got this, it'll be fine, I woke up the next morning, I stuck to my normal plan, I went running. I'm telling you what, the run before, I had an awesome run. I did like 9 miles, it was fine, it was flying. This run, I couldn't get past 3. I was dying, my stomach was all upset, And so my point is, you can have that stuff, just, do it afterwards. Do it after your game. Stick to your plan, because it does affect how you perform. What about during exercise? Plan to consume carbohydrate if you will be engaged in continuous exercise lasting 60 or 90 minutes longer. So I have some things over here we're going to talk about. An athlete can go through carbohydrate stores in 1 to 3 hours of continuous, moderate, high-intensity exercise. And these are some things over here that I have that you might be able to use. And again, you would take these through your practice. You would use these during training. And if they help you during training, then you could use them during the game, okay? Like I said, as a runner, now these are expensive and, they're not necessary, but they're formulated. They're, just like Gatorade's formulated for athletes. They're formulated to give you that quick carbohydrate fix. They do have some potassium and sodium. These are called gels. Again, you don't have to use them. I use these for running, but they're a source of carbohydrate with some electrolytes in them that you could use like at halftime. And this is for the player who plays like most of the game, and if you're on the sidelines, you use these at practice, but during the game you might not need them. These are gels, you can come up here and look at these later. This is Gatorade. Now, not all Gatorades are created equal, okay? This is the G2, which is the lower carb Gatorade, which doesn't have a lot of calories or carbohydrates in them. And while these are good to drink, just to drink, like as part of your fluid, during the day, it's probably not the best one to use during game day, during your competition. What you're going to want is you're going to want a carbohydrate or a Gatorade that has 6 to 8% carbohydrate. And you'll see that on the label. This says 7% under the carbohydrates. And the reason why is they formulated this so that you don't have GI distress, okay? So, and you wouldn't need this whole thing. You'd probably need half of it to get the amount of carbohydrates you need to get through a 90-minute game, Okay, so if you're gonna use Gatorade, half of this, and make sure it's 6 to 8%, okay? And this right here, I saw this looks good, like I would pick this, it's all frosty and good, but it's got like 11%, so this is probably what would make you not feel like good. Some other things I found, and I did this once when I went on a long run, and you guys could use this too, is raisins. This is a great whole food, just a box of raisins at halftime. They have potassium and sodium and just the right mix of carbohydrate that you would need if you don't like Gatorade. So, take a box of raisins in your backpack and use those to give you that quick fuel to get you through the practices, okay? Dried fruit, you could try dried fruit. Some of these dried fruits, like craisins, you could try that. These kind of have some sugar in it. I'm not sure how that would go well, but dried fruit has the appropriate amount of carbs. And another thing that a lot of athletes do is Fig Newtons, which I thought was interesting. And when we're done, you can come up here and try some of these. But like I said, if you don't like Gatorade and you want, to bring whole foods, then these are the kind of things that you want to use during your event. Another thing was a banana, which, honey badger, practice it before you do it. The only thing about bananas is they don't really have sodium in it. So if it's a really hot day, I'm more worried about when the heat, you definitely want some sodium in your body. So, you might want to stick with the carbohydrate. And then oranges. I know when I was a kid we did oranges, which, they don't do that much now, but oranges are really good. The only thing that with oranges is they have a lot of fruit. Sugar, natural sugars in it, and it might upset your stomach. So make sure that if you use oranges as an option, if you eat an orange during your event, that you drink a lot of fluid with it. Okay? And then just make sure when choosing your foods, up to 30 grams of carbohydrate, low in protein, low in fiber, easy to transport. Practice eating it during exercise, sodium, potassium, and stay away from the high sugar content foods. And then your recovery. Recovery covers a range of processes. They replenish the carbohydrate stores. You consume protein. You need some protein for muscle repair, and you need to restore your fluid and electrolytes. The International Journal of Sports Nutrition and Exercise Metabolism recommend this is a lot of carbohydrate per body weight. And what they've decided is that ingesting protein 0.2 to 0.4 grams per kilogram and a smaller amount of carbohydrate together can result in a similar effect. And this is where the chocolate milk came in. I know, have you guys heard about chocolate milk being the best recovery? Yes. Chocolate milk is like huge now for recovery. And the reason is because it's got just enough protein and just enough carbohydrate, and the chocolate actually absorbs quickly. There is a window, a 15 to 30 minutes right after your game or intense workout, where you have this opportunity to refill your carbohydrate stores. And you need to make sure that you are eating or drinking that within 15 to 30 minutes after a game or after a practice, okay? So these are some ideas after a game. I think chocolate milk would be the best thing for you guys to grab out of a cooler after a game to replenish those carbohydrate stores. But I know sometimes you guys, you need to be able to eat, and sometimes you have late games, you're away, you're on the bus. So it's important that you pack some things with you so that you're able to get those carbohydrate and that protein in right after so that you have that recovery. And I just gave you some ideas here. And there are some ideas over here. And just to let you know that all chocolate milks aren't the same, make sure that it has chocolate milk. Milk generally has potassium in it. I saw these chocolate milks where they're easily stored and they're shelf stable. They don't have potassium in it, but these do, okay? So make sure you look at the label. And then your post-recovery meal, just, after you have your snack, your recovery snack, just go home and make sure you eat a well-balanced diet. Remember, you must experiment with or test your intended nutrition plan during your training efforts so that you can rely on it when you compete. And then training your stomach just as you do your mind and muscles is necessary for developing your own list of foods that are familiar and tolerated for you to eat before, during, and after competition. So that is going to be your biggest, you guys have to do that. Yes?
I have a serious question, kind of like, when we go to college and say we're like not playing a college sport, so we don't have anyone doing it for us, like, how do you think we should go about like getting all this stuff if it's like not gonna be available to us and like all
You'll
the,
have dorm food, yeah.
well, yeah, but I don't know if that's,
How about we hit this after?
Oh,
We're concerned about this season right now, we can worry about college after the fact.
oh,
but I'll talk to you about it. Only because I was a dietitian at the college, and that's the dietitians do plan the menus, and there are healthy things available for you there. So, but if you're cooking for yourself, that's a whole other ballgame. If you're not, so get the meal plan. What else? You guys learn anything?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you?
oh yeah.
Alright, hey, everybody, let's thank the Langles for their time.